Hi, we're about to play our final league match of the season, but we're just doing a bit of pre-match analysis really here to see what result matters here. So we play Neos Kosmos now, and then Neos Kosmos will have one match left, and Redoxia have one match left. So basically, if we lose, then Hardly Athletic will finish 1 point in front of us. We'll finish with 75 points, and Neos Kosmos will have 75 points along with us. Now, depending on what we lose to them by, well, if we lose by 2 goals, let's say for argument's sakes, then our goal difference will be the same as theirs, because they'll get 2 better goal difference and we'll get 2 worse goal difference if we lose by 2 goals. So if we lose by 2 goals to Neos Kosmos, we will have the same points and the same goal difference, but we'll have slightly better. We'll have better goals for, though, not probably better. Yeah, we will have better goals for. So, and Redoxia, or Neos Kosmos would then win the league, depending on how they do in their last matches. Now, if Neos Kosmos lose their last match, but they beat us now by 2 goals, then basically what will happen is they'll beat us by 2 goals, we'll be tied with points on them, and we'll have tied goal difference. But then if they lose, they're obviously going to end up having a goal difference by at least 1 worse, so we'll have better goal difference and better goals for anyway. So if Neos Kosmos lose their last match, but beat us now, then we probably finish in front of them. If they beat us by 3 goals, it gets complicated, because their goal difference will get 3 better, ours will get 3 worse, and their goal difference will be 2 better than ours. So if they beat us by 3 goals and then lose their last match by only a single goal, then they'll finish in front of us. But if they beat us by 3 goals and lose their last match by 2 goals, then we will finish in front of them, even with tied goal difference and tied points, except our goals for will be better. So if we're going to lose to them, we have to, if it's getting right near the end of the match, it's just worth us keeping in mind basically that the scoreline does matter here. Losing by 1 goal or 2 goals doesn't make any difference, basically. But there is a difference between losing by 2 and 3 goals, and there is a difference between losing by 3 and 4 goals, but no difference between losing by 1 or 2 goals. So that's something that we can keep in mind if we're losing. What decisions to make, how hard we can push, and what kind of risks we can take to get something out of it. But I think there's no hiding from the fact that we're probably done for if we lose from them. It just gives us a mathematical chance still. The scoreline, depending on what we lose by, gives us a mathematical chance, but we don't want to lose. I think that's pretty clear. If we draw, then we guarantee ourselves a 2nd place finish, worst case scenario, because we will be tied. We'll have 76 points. The most amount of points that Neos Kosmos can get is 76. They might win their last match by many goals and end up getting better goal difference than us, but we guarantee ourselves a top 3 finish. We probably guarantee ourselves a top 2 finish, and we're an outside chance to possibly win the league. So a draw is good enough basically to secure a top 3 finish, and if we win our last match, then it's definitely again good enough to secure a top 3 finish, and we may basically, if it's just dependent on Redoxia not winning their last match for us to win the league. So very complicated situation, I think, when it comes to which result we want in this last match, because it's like a draw will get a top 3 finish, and a win could win the league but we'll get a top 3 finish. And is it worth taking the risk if there's a draw to roll the dice to go for a win when you might lose and not fin? I think the answer to that is no. I think we'll probably just take the draw if that happens. But also there is a difference between, if we're losing the match, we also have to bear in mind that, yeah, like we're saying, losing by 1 or 2 goals, no difference. But losing by more than 2 goals, 2 to 3 and 3 to 4, it does make a difference. We don't want to, if we're losing by, I don't think it makes any difference if we lose by more than 4 though. So if we're losing by 5, it's worth taking a risk to try to get it back to 4. And because it doesn't make, I don't think it makes any difference to losing by 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. It doesn't, we're done for, no matter any of them. But there is a difference between 5 and 4 and 4 and 3 and 3 and 2, basically, losing by. So just keep that in mind. We've already set our team up, so we're just going to go, we're going to play our match. We've checked out Neil's Kosmos. I've got a couple players out injured, so that will potentially help us. They got a draw in their last match. Would have taken a lot of pressure, more pressure off us if they had lost that, but they didn't lose it. Should I line up just to quickly double check? 100% condition, last match, so nothing else matters now, and we're just going to go for it, I guess. Very nervy end to the season here. I think both of their starting central midfielders are out, injured. I don't know, so that's got to help. Just feel like this is the one match where we just don't want to be unlucky. A very nice start. It's all us, which is a good sign. Just need a goal to go with it. What we needed. And I'm a bit reluctant to really change it because we're still in control of this match. Of course they have a shot straight after I say that, but I feel like we're doing as well as we could possibly hope for. I feel like it's risky to change anything at this point. If we can continue to dominate the match this way, I feel like we're probably going to get another goal yet. We'll certainly do enough to get another one. You know what, I'm just going to pause. I might do a de-risk sub right now because I just feel like red card, it could really blow up in our face. So, and Lange is good quality. 10 goals, 10 assists this season. So. Very so they're coming into the match now a bit, unfortunately. But we're still creating more than them. I think we're still doing good. And we've got to be happy with the overall performance. Oh god, it's just so nervy. Nerve-wracking end of the season. We got 20 seconds still. Let's think about this. I mean, we're still outplaying them. They're creating a bit. They could snatch a goal, that's for sure. But it does feel like they're probably unlikely to score more than one goal. We are happy, technically speaking, we're happy to draw this, even though obviously at this point we really would want to win, but at the end of the day, I think if we were just guaranteed a draw right now, we would actually take that. So it feels like, bearing that in mind, sticking with what we're doing is not that risky. If we start now and they happen to score straight away, it could change a bit, but I think we don't really want to use up another substitute this early. I think the only decision is, do we want to change formation, and that could really blow up in our face if we do. I just feel like the least risky thing to do is to leave it, because we're doing quite well. It's just always the possibility. Every time they pop up with a shot like that, they could score. Okay, so lucky we didn't use up our second substitute. I feel like the correct thing to do now is just to leave the formation as is, so do a like-for-like substitution. So lucky we had that player on the bench to be able to do that. And again, I think now we have to keep our third sub available. We definitely have done a lot. We've created a lot. We've certainly done enough to get another goal, and everything would be feeling so much more comfortable right now if we had it. We have it now, and things feel good. And again, I think it's just risky to change it. I mean, we're doing so well. They're only creating about one shot every 10 or 15 minutes, which is like, why do I have to open my big mouth? I feel like I can make our last sub now. Fresh defender, I think. It's a good one here. No. I'm not happy with this, so let's just transition now to try and close out the match. We should have maybe, hindsight, done this straight after the second goal, but our team was just doing so well, it felt like didn't want to change anything. Big decision though, big moment. We've got 2 minutes now, 1 minute left in the match. We'll just, what do we do? The most important minute of the whole season. We got there. Oh, such a sigh of relief. I felt all in all that we were always creating more than them. This is the thing, and I do think overall it was the right. If we had changed it after that goal and then they scored and we're on the back foot, I think it would have been more nervy than what happened, which was that we didn't change anything. They scored, but we were still ultimately having more possession than them, creating a bit more than them. I think our team is very good at closing out matches, though. We probably should have just. I think after the second goal, we should have done this. Basically, we should have tried to close the match out after the second goal. I think just because we've done it so successfully on so many occasions this season, it's the reason why we are where we are. It's because of our ability to close out matches. So I think to have not closed this match, well, we did in the end, but to have not immediately have attempted to close this match out in the same way, I think was a mistake, just because we've done it so well all season. To do something different doesn't make any sense. Why would you do something different on the most important match, the last match, where whatever we gather and learn from doing something different wouldn't be applicable anyway? There's no more matches this season, and we'll have a different, new players and whatever next season. So it's not a time for learning, basically. But so I think that was a mistake. Luckily, we were punished in that we conceded a goal, but luckily we weren't punished in that we still won the match. And we got an injury. Could have been earlier. Could have been earlier. Would have hurt more. But luckily, we did set up our bench to have Hansen on, so we could do a like-for-like replacement there. And also, luckily, he is he's a bit more defensive, Hansen, as well. So we sort of got on a naturally more defensive player when we needed one. So I wouldn't say an injury is lucky, but it could have been worse. And the other big decision really here was to do this early sub after the yellow card. I feel like the mistake was we should have paused right after the card. If we were going to do it, we should have done it straight away. Why run the risk here for 4 minutes? What if you got sent off in that 4 minutes? Why would you run the risk? Why was I think the timing was just there because we thought of it late. So that was just a mistake in regards to doing it then instead of straight after it. As to whether it should have been done at all or not is another matter. It did sacrifice some of our late game. As you can see, even though we had 3 subs, they actually finished with more condition than us. So it did actually, and Lange only finished on 83%. So if we had done that sub later at half time or right after half time, Lange would have been able much more of a be able to make much more of an impact on the match as a sub. So it wasn't really about Lange making an impact, so to speak. It was just simply about not having Montes sent off, really. Because I felt like we were winning. They weren't really creating anything. It was pretty unlikely they were going to score more than 1 goal. That's what it felt like at this point in the match. When we made the substitution, it really felt like they created hardly anything. They only had a couple of shots. It felt like they weren't going to score more than a goal. That was my gut feel. It felt like we were doing enough to probably reliably get a second goal. And bearing those 2 things in mind, that we were probably going to score 1 more goal at least, and that we probably weren't going to concede more than 1 goal. That's why I did it, basically, because if we got unlucky and they scored, which they did, and we'd probably score 1 ourselves, which we did, and we'll probably win anyway. So it was just a case of really de-risking and making, understanding what was likely to happen. Basically, we were likely to score another goal. We weren't likely to concede more than 1 goal. That was my view at that point. And if we had a player sent off, that could have thrown a real spanner in the works. And you have to bear in mind here as well that even though obviously we wanted to win this match, really what we needed was a draw. So that even played more into that. We could have not been correct. We were correct in both counts, but we only really needed to be correct on one of them. You know, like if we didn't score, then we still would have drawn. And if they had scored 2 goals and we did score, then we still would have drawn. So we didn't have to be as accurate as we were to have still got a draw here. So it was all about what needs to happen in order for us to lose, and it felt like basically having a man sent off early in the match. That felt like the most likely way we were going to lose this match, basically, and that's why we made that decision. So, and it was a good one, I think, bearing all those things in mind. So yeah, not perfect, as we said, we made a little mistake at the end, but we got the win. That's the most important thing. And now we've secured our top 2 finish. And it's just basically up to Redoxia now. That's what it comes down to. If they win their last match, they win the league. And if they don't, then we win the league. And it would be quite... And I think it's probably, obviously, you look at their record and whatever, I think it's more likely they are going to win their last match and they are going to win the league and win it on goal difference. I think we might, I'm not sure if this is an official stat, but if that happens, I think we might be the only team ever to have lost the league on goal difference 2 seasons in a row. And I think that's, but whatever, at the end of the day, it is what it is, can't do much about it, and we just chuffed to bits to get in that top 3 finish. So cheers, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next season in our journeys that are going to include the Sans Cup. Cheers.